Hello and welcome to another edition of Brummywood Yammywood, the Big Centre TV show which is all about the movies. Coming up, we'll be taking a look at the new Spectre trailer, the James Bond movie trailer that's been causing so much excitement online this week. We'll also get down into the archives and look a bit nostalgically at some of the Art Deco cinemas in our area. First, though, let's have a look at some of the new movies which are opening at our cinemas right now. And the first one to concentrate on this week is a film called Inside Out. This is the latest movie from the Pixar studios, those people who brought us the likes of Toy Story, and they have a habit of picking on a fairly left-field topic and then turning it into something family-friendly, and that's exactly what they've done this time. This movie takes us inside a person's brain, where we're invited to believe that all the different characteristics that we have, joy, fear, despair, anger, are all little people who are running around in our heads, and they're all jostling for position. And the whole film is taken through the eyes of an 11-year-old girl whose life is turned upside down when her parents decide to relocate from one side of America to the other. What she really needs is Joy, the little character in her head, to come to the fore to keep her happy. But wouldn't you know it, Joy's having some problems up there at the moment, and it all goes a little bit pear-shaped.
So, Riley, how was the first day of school?
Fine, I guess.
Did you guys pick up on that?
Sure did.
Something's wrong. Signal the husband.
Uh-oh, she's looking at us. What did she say?
Oh, sorry, sir. No one was listening.
Is it garbage night? We left the toilet seat up. What is it, woman? What?
I'm Joy. This is sadness. That's anger.
What?
This is disgust. And that's fear. We're Riley's emotions. These are Riley's memories. They're mostly happy, you'll notice, not to brag.
I wanted to maybe hold one.
What happened? Sadness?
She did something to the memory.
Is everything okay?
I don't know.
Take it back, Joy.
Trying.
Joy, no,
Let
wait.
go.
The core memories.
No.
Can I say that curse word now?
What do we do now?
Nothing's working. Why isn't it working?
We have a major problem.
Oh, I wish Joy was here.
We can fix this. We just have to get back to headquarters.
That's long-term memory. You could get lost in there.
Think positive.
Okay, I'm positive you will get lost in there.
You can't focus on what's going wrong. There's always a way to turn things around. It's Broccoli!
Congratulations, San Francisco. You've ruined pizza.
Who's the birthday girl? Brain freeze!
Hang on! Riley, here we come!
Now, as we've come to expect from Pixar, this has got something for every level of the family. It's got some very good adult in-jokes, it's got some really lively voiceovers, and plenty of colourful characteristics for the children. I do think, though, maybe the highbrow topic will go over the heads of the very youngest of viewers. Not quite a Toy Story for me, but not far behind, and a very good family-friendly offering. Now, that's more than can be said for the second new movie that we're talking about this week, which is a film called Southpaw. And if you like films like Rocky and The Champ, well, this one's definitely for you. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a boxer who reached the very top of his trade, but he's now down on his luck. He's turned to the bottle, things are not going well, he's separated from his child, and he's trying to get her back. So what does he decide to do? Take on one last fight to see if he can turn his life around.
I expected a hard fight, you know. I put my family through a lot.
The more you get hit, the harder you fight. I get it.
Let's go!
Only now you're taking way too many hits before you get off.
You can't fight like that anymore.
Think about her.
I'm gonna tell you something.
I love you.
I love you.
So predictable.
Man.
The light heavyweight champion of the world, Billy.
I wouldn't be here without my wife, Maureen.
Hey, Billy, why you leaving so soon?
Come on, keep walking.
Baby, you ain't never been a real man.
Billy, let that go. Let's go home.
How about I take your belt?
Billy, stop!
Who took me and I? No, 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 no! No, no, no!
This court is aware of the tragedy your family has suffered, Mr. Hope. Nonetheless, you have chosen to demonstrate dangerous behaviors while having custody of your daughter.
Dad?
You need help, Billy. It'll be a year before your suspension is up, which means 0 income.
Legal custody of the child shall remain with family services until the father can demonstrate the abilities of a responsible parent.
Please, I don't want to.
I'm sorry, please.
Please, Dad, I want to stay with you. I want to live with you.
How'd you like to fight for that title?
You think that you can beat magic? Not without you. I'm gonna fight again. I'm gonna get my kid back.
What chance is there that Hope could win?
The cards are stacked against Hope. They say Billy Hope can't make it. Billy Hope is over. This is your time. This is your moment.
You can control your destiny.
Southpaw is a rousing story of triumph over adversity. Jake Gyllenhaal certainly looks the part. He's toned up very much for it. I wish that his dialogue was as sharp as his physique, though, because he does tend to mumble a little bit, and it did become a little bit distracting. Rachel McAdams plays his wife and puts in a spirited turn, and actually the cast all around is a very good one. Forrest Whitaker, who's always watchable, plays a scout and a coach, and Naomi Harris pops up as one of the child protection officers who's involved in that side of the story where he's trying to get his daughter back. Talking of Naomi Harris, she also features in what's been one of the big talking points of the week because, of course, she plays Miss Moneypenny in the James Bond movies. And a couple of days ago, the world finally got the chance to see the first trailer for the new James Bond movie, Spectre, Daniel Craig's fourth crack at the role. There's been so much talk online about what it means. Is it going to be any good? Well, we'll see what we can deduce by watching the trailer. Questions are, can they top Skyfall? Is the new Aston Martin going to become another classic? And most importantly of all, who exactly is Christoph Waltz going to be playing in this film? Is he the villainous Ernst Stavro Blofeld after all? Well, take a look at the trailer and see what you think.
You had no authority. None. Mexico City. What were you doing there?
I was taking some overdue holiday.
So what's going on, James? They say you're finished.
What do you think?
I think you're just getting started.
Magnificent, isn't she? 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. A few little tricks up her sleeve.
Do one more thing for me.
What do you have in mind?
Make me disappear. Tell me where he is.
He's everywhere.
If you go there, you're crossing over to a place where there is no mercy.
You're protecting someone.
Get away from me!
Why should I trust you?
Because right now, I'm your best chance of staying alive. This organization, do you know what it's called?
Its name is Spectre.
Do you know who links them all?
Me.
Welcome, James.
You came across me so many times, yet you never saw me.
What took you so long?
Is this really what you want? Living in the shadows, hunting, being hunted, always alone?
I don't stop to think about it.
It was me,
James.
the author of all your pain.
That's almost all we've got time for in the first half of the show. After the break, we'll be getting all nostalgic and looking back at an interview I did with film historian Frank Aston about some of the great Art Deco cinemas in our region. But I'll leave you to take you into the break with a sneak peek behind the scenes of what promises to be one of the summer's big blockbusters. It's a film called Pixels, and if you were a child of the 1980s, that great technological revolution, well, you'll know that the great villain is the great, huge Pac-Man. Take a look at this. We'll see you after the break.
And action! Boom, that's my jam.
Having done visual effects in the past, what we were aiming for here is something you've never seen before. Something that was so completely original and unique that the audience would kind of gasp when they first saw it.
Welcome back to Brummywood Yammywood. Now, the region's Art Deco and old traditional cinemas are enjoying something of a resurgence right now. We've had quite a few of them in the Brummywood Yammywood studio over the last few months. The Electric at Cannock. We've talked about special screenings going on at the Majestic in Bridgnorth. And I know that there's quite a few of them in the area that are doing some special things to promote the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation movie, which, very excited, opens next weekend. At Big Centre Television, one of the most popular interviews that we've done here on Brummywood was when I sat down with film historian Frank Aston a few weeks back to talk about the long-lost cinemas in our area and whether more could have been done to save some of them. Let's have a look at when I sat down with Frank to get all nostalgic and misty-eyed. Do you remember the time when there was a cinema, or a picture house as they were known back then, in almost every town or village? Once upon a time, Birmingham and the Black Country was actually home to well over 40 of them, many in spectacular, majestic Art Deco buildings. Today, sadly, a few of them have been given a new lease of life as a bingo hall or a pub, but many more have been demolished. I'm delighted to be joined this week by Frank Aston, a film historian and critic who lives near Wolverhampton and has spent most of his life working in the cinema business. Now, Frank, we've all got our earliest memories, I think, of the first cinema we went to, the first film we saw. What was yours?
Well, we used to go as a family, really, in the 50s, in the mid to late 50s, to see films predominantly in the Wolverhampton Town Centre cinemas, the Savoy as it was then, or the Odeon or the Gaumont. And very often our early cinema choices were the Disney films of the day. They were very often sort of true life adventures, sort of which were National Geographic movies in a way, because my dad liked that kind of thing and he made the decisions. But the early films I remember of that type, you know, as a family visit, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea stands out, and that has stayed with me as one of the great influences of my life. And I remember going to see a film called The Pride and the Passion at the Odeon, must have been around about 1957, 58-ish, and being absolutely spellbound by the size of the screen and the colour and the spectacle of the film. You know.
So that's one of the things I remember about the Savoy, or it was the ABC in Wolverhampton by the time I remember it.
Indeed.
I remember queuing round the block, my memories, queuing around the block to go and see Grease with my folks in 1978, I think it would be. And I got all the way around the corner, that corner in Garrick Street, within about 6 people from the front. And then the sold out sign went up.
Oh, no.
And I had to go through it all again, and my mum wasn't best pleased with that.
No.
But you worked there, didn't you?
I did. I worked at the ABC between 1965 and 75. I was there for about a year after it was tripled. They started twinning and tripling and quadrupling even existing cinemas, ruining some beautiful, you know, Art Deco, majestic cinemas. About a year after the cinema was tripled, I moved on. But yes, I spent 10 very, very happy years at the ABC in Wolverhampton.
And of course, this was in the day when the films would turn up on their great big spools of reel. And
oh, well, they would come in in absolute huge metal transit cases, 5 or 6 reels of film. As you know, in terms of film, it's different now with digital, but in terms of film, if you think that a reel of film lasted between sort of 18 to 20 minutes, you're talking 5 or 6 reels. If it was an epic, like Gone with the Wind or Ben-Hur, you know, you're talking 12 to 15 reels. Huge, great, cumbersome cans and that, which we used to assemble. But we used to show them reel by reel, 20-minute reels, of course, at that time, with the changeovers, doing changeovers, using that system of cues that appear on the screen. Once you've seen one, you never miss one.
Is that why you have intermissions in films as well? Is that part of the reason?
Well, yes, indeed. Well, there was usually an intermission after about reel 6 or 8, you know, sort of depending on the size of the movie and that. But yeah, that was some years before, you know, they started using long play systems, projection systems in cinemas, using a platter or a cake stand system.
That's what I remember, seeing them like a big wedding cake stand. Yeah.
That's right, where the entire programme sat on a cake stand and fed from the middle via the projector onto another platter. That was the time, of course, when the first nail in the coffin of some of the presentation errors in cinema, you know, because the projectionist wasn't on the spot for the whole time. He wasn't nursing the film through the performance reel by reel, you know.
And of course now, the film just comes on a little memory stick, doesn't it, that's fed in, or sometimes not even on site.
Well, that's true. It's generally speaking, it comes on a load drive, you know, supplied by the studio, fed into the server on the projector. As you quite rightly say, the move now is towards satellite transmission of films to cinemas. So film, sadly, is long gone. That, you know, that tactile film of handling that 35mm celluloid is sadly a thing of the past. But I did enjoy the years, and I did enjoy the transition over to the video era as well, over to the digital era as well. But the time of film and the smell of film is in the past now. Although, as I'm sure you know, Carl, because you're an authority on film and cinema, a lot of stuff is still shot on film, of course. Much has been made of Quentin Tarantino shooting his new film on film and in 70mm at that, you know. So it's still around. The studios are still going to be using it. The laboratories are still going to be producing it.
It shows, doesn't it, that people are still respectful of the way movie making was in the past and why it's still so great. It's just a shame. I always think that in hindsight, you look back and think of the ABC Savoy in Wolverhampton is still there, but a lot of the other cinemas that we talk about around the area have long gone. I saw a picture the other week of the old Penn cinema, which was in the process of being demolished.
Yes, the Penn was very sad because it was the outskirts of Wolverhampton, in the leafy suburbs of Penn, where I worked part-time whilst I was at the ABC Wolverhampton with a wonderful chap named Percy Norton, and he was the elderly chief there. And he could have been the prototype for Percy Quilp in The Smallest Show on Earth. And the lovely thing about Percy is if he made you a cup of tea, he was judging the suspense element, whether or not the length of ash on his cigarette would drop into the tea before he'd finished stirring it, you know. But the Penn was a nice family cinema, had festoon curtains.
And isn't it sad that that's now it's a supermarket, wasn't it? Demolished in about 1972, 73.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
So some cinemas, happily, the buildings at least still exist. Like, I mean, the Imperial at Walsall, which is one of several that have been taken on by Wetherspoons.
I was going to say, thank goodness for a certain pub chain, because at least they've preserved the buildings, and in some cases they've preserved the interiors of the buildings as well. I'd seen the Magnificent Seven at the big Odeon in Wolverhampton and loved it. And then a few weeks later I caught up with the Imperial Walsall. And that's when you really start to adopt a passion for a movie, because I can remember that it had a beautiful interior deco, and that's when elements of the movie sort of start to make themselves felt to you, the music, the photography, and that the performances, the writing. Because films would move around to the surrounding cinemas, having played at the big, you know, super cinemas and that, and it was fun to travel around.
People would follow them, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
that's right.
The Dale Willinghall was another one, you know.
That's another one that still exists as a pub, isn't it?
It does indeed, yeah. Yeah, there were quite a few. And the Regal Wentzville, which I think you know.
Well, that was my family's local cinema growing up, but by the time I ventured into the village centre, it had become a fine, fair supermarket, unfortunately.
Oh, right,
so
yeah.
I never got the joy of the Regal Wentzville, but people talk so fondly about them. And that's an example of one which part of local history, and you look back and think, maybe they could have found another use, could have done something with the building.
It would be nice to think that the towns and villages that surround, you know, the conurbations of areas should be able to have their own cinemas back again. In you know, the village hall aspect of it would be quite good. I mean, I know it occurs with flicks in the sticks and things like that, but I think there are possibilities for the permanent installation of digital projectors in village halls and community centres, really, around the whole area. I think it'd be wonderful to see.
Well, we talk all the time, don't we, about community life being disappearing, pubs closing, social clubs closing. It's a perfect way of actually bringing communities back together in its cinema. That still remains one of its biggest charms.
Well, irrespective really of how the film is projected, it's the shared experience, isn't it, with an audience on a big screen. I have to say that I've never enjoyed films so much as when I did used to go to see them in the cinema with an audience, comedies, musicals, you know, spectacles, the Alamo.
Absolutely.
You know, watching sort of hordes and hordes people storming castles and that.
But wasn't there also, there was something about the environment you were watching the film in, which just made it that more majestic, special, big screen, more of an event, didn't it? I still feel sorry for the people these days who've only ever known cinemas, multi-screen cinemas on retail parks. It's just they don't have the same appeal.
No,
you never see people queuing around the block to watch a film.
You don't. Very true, Carl, and that used to be the absolute... The suspense as to whether you were even going to get into the cinema or not. You experienced it.
Well, you can see I've been tarnished by my Grease experience now, 30 years on. So
yes, I can remember queuing outside in the rain to see Goldfinger in '64 around the Odeon. The queues were around the block.
Well, they were showing that film 24 hours a day, weren't they?
Yeah, virtually, yes, yeah. So it was the excitement as to whether or not you were going to get into the cinema, and then when you eventually did get in, there was the smell of, you know, the smell of a certain kind of sweet kind of popcorn. And then into the auditorium itself, and what seemed like acres of seats, and a proscenium arch, and concealed lighting or chandeliers, and then, of course, that wonderful expanse of curtains. Because in the days when presentation meant something, the audience should never see a screen with nothing on it. Yeah. You know, really, that should be kept for when the programme started.
And I'm sensing there, this is a projection booth manager speaking about the professionalism of actually being able to put on a show from the moment people walk straight in.
Well, yes, it was glorious to be able to do that, to choose suitable music for the programme that you were actually, the film and the programme that you're actually showing, you know. And indeed lighting, stage lighting. You could bring theatre to it in a way, really. At the ABC Wolverhampton, we had a bank of spotlights on the balcony, so we could change the colour of the stage area depending on what the film was.
It just shows just how fondly people remember the cinemas. Just talking to you now, Frank, thank you ever so much for your time and coming in. Great to reminisce.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much, Carl.
Well, that's all we've got time for on Brummywood Yammywood this week. Don't forget, if you've got a movie story you'd like us to tell or a project that you're working on, you could be on the sofa here in the studio next week. Send us an email to movies@bigcentre.tv. We'll see you again soon.